Well, hello, La Habra. My name is Linnette Falcon, and I am the interim president of the La Habra Area Chamber of Commerce. And welcome to the Voices of the Members. Today, I'm super excited because I have a gentleman here that wears many hats, but he is here to share with you his business, some struggles, some success, and everything in between. Welcome, Del.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So tell me, Del, I know you wear many hats. Can you tell me how many hats those are?
Quite a bit. So currently I am a deputy sheriff for one of the largest sheriff's departments in the nation, been a sworn peace officer for well over 2 decades with about 26 years of service working in various city governments. I am also a sitting city council member for the city of La Habra. So that can have some challenges and dynamics as far as which hat to put on. But of course, we go with the purpose for why I'm here today, which is, I am also a business owner of over 10 years.
And you also are a new daddy. So
I forgot about that. Yeah. That's probably
okay.
like the busiest profession ever. It's like a new employee and you don't know how to like communicate with them just yet. And, they complain about everything. They always work during non-traditional hours.
Exactly.
But anytime that employee, my son, is upset or I can't figure out what's going on with them, I send them to HR. That's what I tell people. I send them to HR.
Yeah,
and of course HR is mom, right?
All right, that's right. HR is mom, and we love mom. And you guys are doing a great job. By the way.
Thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
He is amazing, and I'm sure you guys will see him in and around the city and all the videos that we do with Del. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming today to our very new podcast. And we're excited because this is to bring the community information of all our members and what they do for in and around the area. So thank you so much. And I know one of your hats is you are the CEO and founder of Harbinger Horizon. Can you tell us what the name means?
So Harbinger Horizon is actually a part of I guess we could say, vision.
Okay.
And the history of the company. Mm-hmm. Harbinger itself, as many know, is someone, it's like a messenger, someone who is coming in advance to share things that are to come. So, we could look at it from the biblical standpoint, which is where they see the word, but then when they say it, it's like Harbinger, and it's like, no, it's Harbinger, and then I say like someone like Moses, right?
Okay.
But you can also look at it from other aspects, like the famous movie 300, right? The emissary who comes to talk to Leonidas in Greece, and it's that messenger that comes to give a message or a word of wisdom, or sometimes of even warning of times as well. Mm-hmm. And so that's the Harbinger part of it. The horizon is that of things to come. As everyone knows, when it comes to horizon, it's probably one of the most beautiful views you can have other than a sunset.
Yes.
But the horizon comes from this ideal of when you have an organization that may be going through some tough times, maybe in a moment of darkness, trying to figure out how to improve, whether it be the relationship of, the employees or even the customers, the constituents that they're serving, or the clients. In the darkest of times, when things are going to get better, because that horizon it's just above the horizon there. So
wow. Well, I'll take the biblical part.
Yeah,
Since
okay.
I am a believer, I will take that one to heart because I really did like that explanation.
Awesome.
And so what does a good compliance look like? And not only on paper, but what does it look like when we're looking at it from the outside looking in?
Yeah, so when you're looking at good compliance, most people look at it from the paper standpoint because compliance is synonymous with some companies as policy, right? But it's not really about the policy itself, and it's not really about what's on paper. It's about the behavior. Okay. And that's what we don't focus on often enough in organizations. What are the behaviors that we are encouraging? What are the behaviors that we're exhibiting, especially for our leaders who are exercising leadership? 2 different things. You have a leader that's a title. Leadership is the actual action itself. Okay. What are the behaviors that they're exhibiting in the workplace? So when we talk about what does it actually look like, it's about modeling the way. I know many people say lead by example. I like to say modeling the way. Okay. Showing people what leadership looks like. Part of that is to give people an opportunity to be outspoken in what their thoughts are, how they're feeling, especially when you're having those troubling times. No one in the organization should fear doing the right thing. No one should fear making good decisions. Too many times do we have in organizations where people want to make the right decision, but what do we commonly see people doing? They're
Not
making
saying
decisions based on what's popular,
Right.
based on what they think someone's going to, or how someone's going to respond to that decision that they're making. And it really takes away from, a organization really doing things because it's just simply ethically sound. We see that occurring in every organization.
Yeah.
I happen to come from a law enforcement background predominantly. So if you can imagine trying to make a decision when you're in the midst of a dangerous situation,
Yes.
where you're making a decision not based on what's right, but you're doing it because you're wondering how your boss is going to think about the decision you're making. That's not a good place to be in.
Yeah.
So that's just one of many aspects of what good compliance looks like. When we talk about compliance itself, making sure you're meeting standards, you're meeting, let's say, state law, federal law, labor codes, things like that. It's not just knowing that compliance, but it's actually believing in that compliance and understanding the why that compliance is in place. A lot of it's because of risk management. So.
Right. And I know that a lot of people don't want to say anything just because of the outcome or the possible outcome.
Yeah.
When I think in reality, you say it. If it's the right thing to do, you say it, regardless of that outcome. Because if not, then what's the whole purpose of having a compliance in place if you're not going to feel free to say it?
Now, granted, I will say there is a appropriate time to say it.
Of course.
That's
Yes.
important to know. You don't just go out there at the next meeting and just start putting everything out there. No, there's a certain moment that a time and place for everything.
Right.
But you want to make sure that those employees are empowered to know that they are going to be heard, and that and what they say has meaning to it. And of course, explore more as you're getting into compliance, trying to figure out what is the compliance element of it. Ask the why questions. Why do you feel this way? Why is this important to you? So.
And what happens if an employee, brings up a situation and the end result is maybe not what the employee was expecting?
Yeah.
How do you try to make that seem not so harsh, or trying to make them understand that I understand where you're coming from, but this is why it needed to be done? Because I think that happens a lot, and we may think, oh my God, that's not what I was expecting. I should have never said anything, right?
Yeah.
But what do you think they should say in that possible?
Take the butt out of it. And here's what I mean by that.
You see that?
Yeah, it's a simple answer, but it expands on that in the ideal of when you're talking to employees, you have to use strategic communication. It's not just employees, but also clients. Strategic communication is extremely important. It's something I even have to practice every single day. I have to catch myself at times. You want to make sure that employee is heard, but then also ask Socratic questions. And I always encourage that. Ask Socratic questions that will lead either to a new paradigm or a new perspective of how they see things, or self-discovery. We actually commonly see this happening in a good portion of what I do is compliance trainings, or I like to say presentations in areas of equal opportunity employment law. So when we're talking about workplace harassment, things like sexual harassment, discrimination, and abusive conduct, a lot of employees are in fear of standing up. But when they do and they report the incident, let's say they are a victim of harassment of some sort by another employee, a lot of times the employee wants to know what happens next. They want to know, okay, if I make this complaint, I want to know what happened with that employee that actually engaged in that behavior. What we find out, and there's legal statutes that protect not just the accuser, but also the person being accused, is that you may not get the results. You may not even know what the entire process is. You don't know who's been interviewed. You don't know what the outcome was, whether that person was suspended, maybe some remedial training of some sort. And when that happens, you start to second guess your organization. You start to second guess, did they really do the right thing? Should I even speak up the next time this happens? That's the biggest part that we're talking about here. Should I even speak up? Sometimes that employee wants something to happen to that employee that may not be a part of what we call a bail schedule. It may not be the appropriate discipline. And so this is where people feel like, okay, I'm not being heard. So when they're asking for that follow-up, that's when you actually inform them of some policies and regulations, and help them understand the organization, most likely HR, is taking the matter seriously. They hear what's being said. reiterating what that person complained about. And that's when we talk about the empathic listening, but then inform them that there are some legal protections that prevent the organization from sharing what happened with that employee, if anything at all.
If anything.
So,
right. Okay, well, see, this is why it's very important that when you have a business, you have these things in place and you have the proper training so that you don't fall in an area where you can't get yourself out of. And I find that to be sometimes really hard. And so how do you want people to feel after interacting with you as a leader? So I know you gave a presentation to us and it was pretty eye-opening, because what we thought meant one thing, it completely meant something different. And I think that went across the board. I did see a couple of people that thought they were they were saying the right thing, and then we were all like, we are all so wrong. But tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so what you're referring to is the leadership ethical decision-making seminar we did back in December. And that was a bit of an eye-opener for people. But in looking at that, it all it was just a paradigm shift. People looking at things from a more global perspective of how they see not just themselves, how they see their businesses, but also how they see the world. And I was pretty happy to be able to do that presentation for many of our business owners here in La Habra. The way I want people to feel when when I'm interacting with them is I want employees to feel empowered. Okay. That's important because we obviously in most cases work from a top-down approach. People in positions of power give direction, but the empowerment is not just about power. It's also influence. Okay. And we're talking about influence. We're talking about authority. Authority can be multidirectional, and authority generally comes from not just from the top, not just the middle, but it can come from anyone in a position of influence. Part of our vision, our mission, even our motto in our company is to build stronger leaders, stronger organizations, starting with you, right? And that's twofold. Okay. Because we're actually asking people to look at themselves as the next leader within the organization.
That's really nice.
But also the second part of that is looking at myself. I have to remind myself every single day I come in to a organization, that it starts with me. I have to, again, full circle, model the way. Right. And in modeling the way, we introduce these different concepts, these different, sociology, psychology approaches, leadership theories, and things like that, which allows people to start to really reflect and what does that mean to them? And how does it apply to them? And how can they use that information to now further their goals within the organization? And that's what's allowing people to feel empowered. So
that's amazing. And do you feel like this is, when you decided to do this kind of business, was it thought because you are in law enforcement and you saw a lot of maybe things that were not the right thing to do? Or was it something that maybe you experienced yourself?
Yeah, well, I will communicate it in this way. I've had many challenges growing up in my life as a child, which prompted me to go into law enforcement. All I ever wanted to do was to go into law enforcement growing up. But once I got into law enforcement, and I actually got to see it from the inside in the sense of I was, doing a lot of youth programs and things like that. Well, before I was able to even to become a deputy. I will say that while the profession itself is noble, I would never say it's not. It's a noble position. People are being asked to do things that most people wouldn't even do themselves. Right. There are things that people are being asked to do that other people can't do, won't do, aren't even qualified to do. But I noticed that as I got through my tenure, the law enforcement culture can do a lot better with its culture. Okay. We'll say that. Okay. In how we support one another, how we treat one another. As anyone in law enforcement will tell you, it's a very male-dominant profession, but B, a lot of ego. There's a lot of ego in that. And sometimes we forget that the people that are sitting next to us is all we got. True. And so with that, there could be, when there's challenges of agreement or disagreements at how the job should be done, or even from a top-down leadership role, who can contribute to the conversation of how to improve the organization.
Okay.
That's where there's a bit of conflict that comes in. And so for me, I saw there's a few things that I had happened during my career, and not to go into all the details about it, but there's things that I experienced where I say, you know what, we could do better. We really can. And when I felt like I wasn't being heard, I said, you know what, if I'm not going to be able to have a seat at the table to be able to be heard, I'm going to create my own seat.
Good job. See?
And,
That's how it's done.
But the problem with that is, the problem with that is the problem with that is that I ended up having to build my own table.
It's all right.
And then before I knew it, the table got built, and the table looked pretty good enough to bring other people to the table that I built.
That's amazing.
And that's how the business just all of a sudden took off over the years. You don't know what talent, skills, and abilities you have until you actually apply them.
That's right.
But going back to the original question, it was a lot of it had to do with a lot of experience that I faced in my law enforcement profession.
Okay.
So,
and how long have you been in law enforcement?
So like I mentioned earlier, I've been in law enforcement I've been a deputy sheriff for over 2 decades. And with about 26 years of service. I actually started as a sheriff explorer.
Very nice.
Yeah, with LA County Sheriffs back when I was 13.
All right.
And since then, I've worn about 5 different uniforms. Yeah, I was a cadet. I also worked for another agency for a short time. Simultaneously, while I was still an explorer, I was a custody assistant and then also a reserve deputy simultaneously as well. And then I decided to put on the deputy uniform.
Thank you for that service.
Yeah.
We know that it's a very dangerous one. But thank you for protecting our city, our people, our youth, and everything that comes with that job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. And another question. What do you think business owners say they value the most when it comes to HR?
Surface level, they're going to say people. They value people.
Okay.
But if we were really honest with ourselves, we can develop that. And there are organizations out there that do that. They value the people.
Okay.
But we look at, what does that mean?
Right.
What they truly value in HR is someone that's going to keep them out of legal trouble.
That'd be the one first.
Yeah,
first
someone.
thing.
Yeah, someone that's going to keep them within compliance. But also, what's most important out of all those things is cultivating a culture of cohesiveness within the organization. It's hard for HR personnel to do that, and that's where people like me come in, that third party. It's very difficult for them because as HR personnel, you develop relationships with people. In all different areas of the company, especially large organizations. But what happens when the person you develop a relationship with is now the subject of an investigation? And so that's where there's this, I tell HR personnel all the time, they're a bit bipolar.
Right.
That's because
funny. That's
it is.
Looking at it. Yeah, I get it.
Because it's like if an employee comes in and they're having a bad day, guess what? You're having a bad day.
Absolutely.
But if the employees coming in and they're having a good day, guess what? You're having a good day.
Right.
But again, there could be an employee who came in just 5 minutes earlier who's having a bad day, and now you have to like acclimate to that feeling, to that emotion, show a sense of empathy and care. And then next thing you know, you're all cheery because somebody walked in and says, "Hey, did you hear about so and so's birthday today?"
Like,
and so
okay.
yeah,
yes,
and now,
yes, we did.
Thank you. Yeah, so there's a balance you have to apply there. But going back to the question, that's what the business owner is going to value. Someone who can exercise a bit of neutrality during those investigations, but also someone who can calibrate their own behavior, not for themselves, but for the good of the organization.
Got it. Which at the end of the day, that's what's important. The organization, and what people think of it when they're looking at, from the outside. When
you can come in, when you have an organization where, and this is another aspect of it. Most employers, they focus on hiring people who meet the expectations of the organization. That's who we hire. We ask ourselves, is this person a good fit for us, right? It's our benefit. A good HR is someone who knows how to flip that paradigm, that thought, which is now the organization is focusing on meeting the expectations of its people. You do that through your HR department. And when you put that focus on the people within the organization as HR, the people thrive. And when the people thrive, the organization as a whole thrives. And when the organization thrives, depending on the type of organization it is, the community thrives.
Right.
And we see a lot of that with city government.
Yeah.
The city government is an organization. It's a community within, but it's an organization. And when they're thriving, the people thrive within that city government's community.
Right. And you're absolutely right. It's a domino. effect, whether it's a bad domino effect or a good one. But it is, everybody's looking out to see the end result when changes are made. So I totally get that. Thank you so much for answering that. And how is the HR team helping employees do their best work? How do you think that helps the employees do their best work?
So with my particular company, my HR personnel do not work directly with the HRs of the organizations I serve. But I, as well as a couple of other instructors, or instructors or facilitators, we actually go in and we actually sit down with HR professionals all the time. And, some of it is through just, we do facilitations, different, again, people use the word training. I'm going to say facilitating, presentations, things like that.
I like presentations.
Yeah, but we also do assessments. We come in and we do climate culture assessments, and we try to get to the root cause, or we try to look at things objectively as to what is the right prescription for either improving or enhancing an organization. So what they're looking for within an organization is a HR department that actually cares about its employees. Part of the way you show care is through professional development of that employee. It's not just sending them to training simply because that's what they're required to do. It's not just sending them to a class because they have to meet some type of standard or requirement. It's about developing that employee. It's very much like a plant. You could plant a seed and you can have a plant grow, but is it going to grow in the way that you want it to grow? Sometimes if we don't cultivate that land, till it, add enough water, snip the leaves here and there, right? If we're not pruning that plant, we end up with a weed.
Right.
We end up with a weed, but when
lots of weeds
sometimes, and we know that they spread.
Yes, they do.
We call those toxic employees,
That's
right?
That's right.
But when you actually have a organization that says, no, we're going to go ahead and send you to this training because it's within your field of work, but we think that this is actually going to improve or enhance your performance.
I love that.
Or when we say, hey, we're going to send you to a retreat. I don't know, it could be a number of these motivational speakers, right? Or it could be any professional development presenter when they say, hey, we're going to send you to a retreat, or when we're going to do a team building course together. We don't have any challenges at the moment, but let's go ahead and get together and bring in a facilitator like myself who can actually do some team building and communication concepts. That's showing that you care not just about that employee's performance, but you also care about their well-being. And I think that's what makes a good HR team, and that's what people look for in their HR.
And I think when you have employees that know that you appreciate them and you're putting an effort to see them grow, I think it makes for a really good workplace in general, because they feel apprecited.
It goes right back to what we already talked about.
Yeah.
You're talking about people feel like they can speak up.
Yeah.
You're talking about when they feel empowered, when they feel emboldened, when they feel that they matter. Their performance shoots to the roof,
really does.
And then the organization thrives, and then the community that it serves thrives, obviously.
Right. I know that there's a grocery store, and I can't think of the name right now, but not the point. I can't think of the name right now, but all of the employees own a percentage of the company.
Oh, yeah. Home Depot, I think, is one of them.
Is it really?
Yeah, Home Depot is one of them.
I didn't think it's a grocery store, the one I'm thinking about.
Oh, wait, it's not. I'm sorry. I said,
that's
okay.
Okay.
It's not a grocery store, but I knew Home Depot employees own a bit of stock.
So when I found that out, and I decided to go to the grocery store, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name right now, but you can see the effort that they put into bagging your clothes, your whatever you're buying, groceries, or putting everything in the cart for you, or helping you take it to the car, or anything like that. And it is a pleasure for them to do that. And I think they do that with such pleasure and happiness because there's a stake in it for them.
Yeah, the hope is that every employee has a sense of ownership in what they do. And when you give them that ownership, and it may not even be monetary, it could just be recognizing that you are the face of that organization.
Right.
What we see happening there is when people have that sense of ownership, they recognize that they're representing something bigger than themselves.
Right.
And they represent an entire organization. You very much look at it like a person's last name. right? So, we have even companies here in the city of La Habra, and you use one grocery store as an example where you have a predominant name, Gonzalez, that runs a store. And recognize that Gonzalez is like the corporate name. It's like it's like that is the entity. And guess what? All those first names are subsidiaries of that last name. And it's really cool because I love using analogies, by the way.
Okay,
and I'll just go with this analogy. Yeah, this is an analogy here.
Yeah.
It's very much like your last name. Your last name is the parent company. You are a representative of that parent company. When you leave your house, you represent that household.
Yep, that's correct.
And then, of course, your first name is your specific business. You are a subsidiary of that last name. What will people say about your name when they either are hearing about you or when you're speaking with them?
Right.
How do you want people to feel when they hear your name? You can use any company, In-N-Out.
Right.
What is the feeling? McDonald's, what is the feeling? Northgate, what is the feeling?
Yeah. Each one of them have a very different feeling as you're doing the question. I'm like, ooh, You kind of go through that up and down feeling. But you're absolutely right.
When it comes to restaurants, like, what are you craving? And then you think of that name.
Yep, you absolutely
Are people looking at you as an individual in the same way? Are people saying, when they hear Lampkin, are they saying, oh yeah, and let me tell you more about that person, or this is how I'm feeling, or are they saying, ooh, no. Yeah. Companies work the same way. Communities, cities work the same way.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Okay, and then when you're doing compliance or you're doing classes or presentations, like we like to call it, is there a amount of employees that an organization needs to have for you to come and help them implement this, or is it 2 and up?
2 is enough. How effective it is, I will tell you that I don't know, because 2 is usually your mom and pop stores. And I say I don't know because a lot of what we focus on is we're focused on improving culture. Well, if mom and pops aren't getting along, that's a bigger issue than just the business itself.
That's a whole different thing.
But when you're talking about most of my clientele is usually about 10 or more employees.
Okay.
We're talking about 10. I have some small businesses, 10 employees. I have some companies in Fortune 500 companies I work with, city governments that I work with that are about 18,000 employees. Oh, wow. Yeah, so
you get to go on a retreat with them.
I actually do that.
How fun!
They just tell me where to meet them, and that's one of the cool things about my business, about what I bring and how I structure my business. A lot of times it's hey, we're having this retreat, and we would like for you to come to host or facilitate, or not host, but facilitate that retreat. So it's pretty cool. So I've had the honor and privilege of doing that with different entities. I think one of them that comes to mind for me that was pretty cool was the city of Atascadero, if I can mention their name.
All right.
And city of Atascadero, they actually did a retreat for their employees on a beach house, and it was local, so the cost wasn't an issue. They had some connections with people within a local area. And it was pretty cool because here we are at a beach house, and we're like doing all these different team building and team communication concept games and theories, and it always came with a message. It always came with a learning objective, and it was awesome. And then of course, to show that we actually were doing it, we did a trust fall out on the sand and the beach, and even though that we didn't do any trust falls during the entire presentation, but when you think about team building, that's the first thing you go to is trust falls.
Of course. Well, you know what? But that's really nice that they actually do that, because I remember a while ago, I haven't been in the corporate world in a while because I decided to stay home when my son was born. But we used to do that, and we used to love it when a company said, hey, we all are going to fly somewhere or drive somewhere or meet somewhere, and we're going to be there 3 days. And believe it or not, that is a lot of fun. And if you get to do that for your employees, I think that's a really good deal.
But when you do that, you also want to be proactive about it.
Of
you
course.
Don't just want to do it when there's challenges and there's problems. And I think that's the biggest problem we have. We want to make sure that we're proactive. When we're trying to meet compliance standards. We don't want to wait until something happens.
No,
because that risk management wise, that you're in trouble. Yeah. But also when you're having cultural challenges, before it starts to boil up to where it's out of control, and we usually see that when there's a lot of gossiping occurring in the workplace, you want to bring your people together to simmer.
Okay.
To simmer that conflict, to simmer whatever that lapse in cohesionness is occurring.
Got it.
So yeah, I think that's important to bring up. You got to be proactive.
Okay.
You don't just wait until the house is on fire before someone says someone grab a fire extinguisher. So
absolutely. Well, I have one last question, and I did tell you I would ask you a surprise question, but don't worry, I will not put you on the spot. What would you like the community, our businesses, friends, and families to know about Del? Tell me about Del.
Oh. There's a lot of stuff. A lot of people don't know about me. I'm a twin. that's
there you
that's
go.
one.
Okay. All right. I have seen your twin. So yes, not in person, but I have seen them online. Yes.
I didn't grow up in La Habra. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles, which I always like to highlight that because it's a way of me paying homage to the challenges I've had just to get to where I am today. And with that, and when it comes to the community I live in, the city of La Habra, I feel very fortunate to live here. When it comes to the people that I serve, I would have never thought in a million years I would be a business owner, and let alone not just a business owner, but someone who's providing service to well over 110 cities and organizations and special districts throughout all of California, and then being able to present and be able to do training with Fortune 500 companies. These are things I would have never even imagined. Wow. And then the icing, I feel like is almost the icing on the cake, is to be able to, be a city council member for a city. That's awesome. Then the cherry on top, growing up in a household with a single mom raising 3 kids on a government salary, is to be able to be a father. Yeah. And not just be a father, but to be able to raise my son in a nuclear family. Something that does not happen often in my family, and even in the community that I grew up in. It's a rare thing. So,
well, you're very lucky to have an amazing wife. I've had a chance to meet her. She's amazing and beautiful, and I think she's going to be a fantastic mom, and I think you're going to be a fantastic dad, and you're doing an amazing job as a city council member. And I think that your business is going to not only help here locally in the city of La Habra, but any company that is looking to put things in order and catch it before it gets out of order. I think they're very blessed to have you.
Yeah, life has challenges, whether it be your personal or professional life. As a business owner, as a professional development presenter, I'm here to meet those challenges, and I hope that people will see that what I provide on a professional level is not just something I provide just as a business owner, but it's something I practice in my personal life as well. And there's always going to be challenges, but I'm willing to meet those challenges and solve them together as a community, as a representative, as a consultant. I'm willing to meet the needs of any entity within my community or beyond. So.
Well, thank you so very much, Del, for being here today. And one last thing, if somebody is trying to get a hold of your services, can you please share with us how they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely.
And, we can go from there.
Yeah, so harbingerhorizon.com. So HARBINGERHORIZON.com. Or you can give us a call at 818-796-3599. And and we're on LinkedIn as well under Delwin Lampkin, and we have a page on LinkedIn under Harbinger Horizon.
Awesome. So. Well, and if you didn't catch all that, you can always go back
to
La Habra Chamber. Yeah, you can always go back to lahabrachamber.com, and you will find his information there. Del, thank you so much for being part of the Voices of the Members, and we thank you.
Thank you again for having me.
Thank you.
Welcome to your new podcast, The Voices of the Members, brought to you by La Habra Area Chamber of Commerce. Sponsored by Empress Beauty for all your hairstyle, makeup, and beauty needs for your special day. Located in Brea. For all your gala gowns, office chic, and beach looks, we have Uptown Bombshell Boutique, located in Whittier. For your favorite Mexican restaurant, we have Casa Adelita. For all your trophies and plaque needs, we have Action Trophy. For your workplace compliance, leadership development, and human resources strategies, we have Harbinger Horizon. For your State Farm insurance needs, we have Toby Flores. For your commercial real estate needs, we have Jones Real Estate. For all your banquet needs for your special occasion, we have Our Banquet. For your best janitorial cleaning service, we have Best OC Cleaning. To make you feel 100% better, we have 100% Chiropractic. For all your sweet desserts needed for your special occasion, we have Flavorland. For your real estate needs, we have Lily Guas. For all your healthcare needs center, we have Friends of the Family. For all your food purchasing needs, we have Grocery Outlet La Habra. And for all your DJ needs, we have H the DJ. Welcome to the Voices of the Members.